right, everyone. Our next speaker is Kelly Bodwin, who is the secretary of the Harvard Secular Society and the founder of National Secular Service Day. She's a junior at Harvard, studying statistics and English. She enjoys reading plays, playing intramural sports, solving Rubik's Cubes furiously quickly, and debating any and all issues related to religion. So without further ado, Kelly.
Thank you, John. Look at that handsome man right there. Just spoke to you in this picture. All right, so I want to talk about doing service as a secular group. I think I might have done a little false advertising because I'm not really going to talk about the philosophy of philanthropy so much. Sorry, it was much cooler on my Mac, I promise. It had good fonts. But anyways, so just a little bit about me and why I'm speaking here is. I started National Secular Service Day, and this is an idea that came to me. Is there a reason? Do I have to use this? Can you guys hear me?
I think we can hear you.
Yeah, I feel like I'm not using. So 2 years ago, almost 2 years ago, I went to the Secular Student Alliance and American Humanist Association conference in Washington, D.C. And one of the speakers was asked after her speech, what can we do to improve the image of atheists? Because we have an image problem sometimes. And she was actually a scientist getting a science award, and she goes, well, I'm a scientist, I don't know. But what I think you could do is get out there and load those relief boxes next to the Christians under the helicopters. And my friend Andrew Marr, who's also a junior here, and we looked at each other and we said, we can make an event out of this, we can make a service day. So it happened last semester, October 18th, 2009. The Harvard group went out to Harvard, Massachusetts, coincidence, to an organic garden called Dharma Harvest, and we chased ducks around in the snow, and it was really great. But we weren't the only ones. There were events all over the country, and I can show you a couple. So here's the Secular Service Day website, and I'll flash that at you later so you can write it down. But here's some of the events that were registered on the website. There are a lot more than were registered, but you can see here there's highway cleanup and blood drive, soup kitchen. One of my favorite ones was in Texas. It was, let's see, where'd it go? Right here, helping the homeless. They brought supplies to the homeless in Austin, Texas. So just all kinds of stuff. Another one that I liked was the Purdue event because they got on their national news. So I'll show that to you. I don't know how the volume is.
Purdue University student group spent Sunday morning cleaning up the New Chauncey neighborhood in West Lafayette. The Purdue Society of Non-Theists walked around picking up trash from sidewalks and yards. The project is part of the National Secular Service Day. President of the Society of Non-Theists, Jennifer McCrate, says cleaning up the neighborhood is a way to give back to the community.
So I thought that was really exciting. They did a really good job, and I was really happy about that. That's enough about Secular Service Day. Why do we need to serve as a secular group? I'm not going to get into the obvious answer, which is we want to help others. If you're here and you don't think that atheists should be giving back to the community, I really can't help you. Go read Greg's book. I'm sure he'll be thrilled. But I want to talk about the reasons why it's going to help us. This is our secondary goal. Obviously, it's about other people, but right now, here's how it's going to help us. First of all, it's a great way to build your community. I'll talk about this in a little bit in a sec, so don't worry about it. Second of all, we need to establish some traditions. Our tradition right now seems to be South Park. So I would like to see some more good secular traditions, especially in university groups. And the third reason is to break the stereotypes, because we do have an image problem. It's not so much our fault, but we need to work on it. Okay. So in terms of building a community, we have a big question about what kind of community we want to build as non-believers. Here at Harvard, it's largely a humanist community. I personally prefer the term secular, but it's a personal preference. You could take the T a couple stops, find the free thought community. There's also, let's see, non-theist, atheist, anti-theist, theist, deist, heathens, skeptics, brights, secular Jews, rationalists, naturalists, materialists, agnostics, Gnostics, apathetics, non-believers, and the non-religious. And that's just off of 1 minute of me trying to think of the words I've heard. I don't know if you've all seen the episode of South Park where in the future everyone is atheists and they're just arguing about what to call themselves. So this seems to be a central problem. You've got the Greg Epsteins versus the Chris Hitchens, and it's all this infighting. And there's a question of how do we build a community that can encompass all these different people who might identify with the non-religious community. So I think service is a great way to fix it. Service is something that you can come together, you can feel like a team, no matter what you believe. In fact, I think in this picture in the back there, you can see my Catholic roommate who came to Secular Service Day. It's a way of bringing people together to do something together that you feel good about what you're doing. It's really a bonding experience. Joint suffrage, I've heard that brings people together. And as fun as it was, we were also chasing ducks in the snow and shoveling mulch in the snow on our weekends. So it's a bonding experience. And you get to work with diverse groups. I live in the Harvard bubble. I don't think I've left campus in weeks. But there were graduate students on this trip, and there were community members on this trip. And service, it really brings in people from all walks of life. And you can meet the atheist community of Boston, which really I'm a part of, even if I don't interact with them very much. So it's really about, when I started Service Day, I got a lot of emails that were like, well, this is great, but I already served. Me and my family have gone away to serve. That's great, but this is about giving back as a community, as a group. There's a big difference between personally giving back, Kelly Bodwin going to a soup kitchen versus Harvard Secular Society going to Dharma Harvest. So I really feel strongly that service is the way that our community can come together in spite of all these various infighting issues that we have. And related to that is establishing a tradition and defining ourselves. The question that we get at all of our activities fairs where there's a Harvard Secular Society booth is that people come up and they're like, what do you guys even do? Do you just sit around and not read the Bible? I mean, I don't know. So right now, we give out awards and we have social events and we talk philosophy, but I would like to see more service in all the groups. I would like that to be, well, we're a secular group, we're committed to service. It's a way of defining ourselves in a very positive way, a way that we want to be known as. It's a way of expressing the values that we share together, and it's a way of passing it on to the future. I know that this is a student group, so we kind of are the future, but if we have that established, then it'll keep going for years and years. Another criticism I get when I talk about service is, well, that's a church thing, church service groups. Yes, we are emulating the parts of the church we like. Just because it comes from the church doesn't mean it's a bad thing. I think that the church community does a great job, and it doesn't need a church, and it doesn't need God. We can emulate the parts of Christianity or of Islam or of anything we want. We can take it and use it in the best way possible. So I really want to imitate kind of that model of having the smaller church groups. They relate to the other church groups, and they go out and they do service. It's a really great system they have going. So I started to make this slide, and I was like, all right, so I'm going to tell you what we're up against and why we need to break stereotypes. And really, it comes down to just prejudice. That's the only thing I can come up with, because we are lucky enough to live in a country where there is no established religion, where the laws are, for the most part, not prejudice against any one group, no discrimination in the law. But we do have this huge, huge American public issue where they think that atheists are just like the root of all evil. And this is what we need to fight against, and this is how we're going to get our equal standing, because it's not about equal rights right now. We have the rights. Technically, we just don't get them because no one gives them to us. So I just want to show you a few examples. I know I don't need to convince you guys, but I want to show you. This is a poll. I couldn't find the exact one, but fortunately I have the original cut out on my wall, so I remade it. I think it's from 2006, and it's from Newsweek. And it asks, how do these characteristics affect your support for a candidate? Now, I'm a stats concentrator. I'm going to teach you a new word. Outlier. All right? I just can't even believe this. That's why I cut it out and put it on my wall. I mean, these two issues, pro-gay rights and pro-choice, those are real political issues. Those should affect your voting. The rest of them, these are just people's religion. I don't understand. And also, nothing against Muslims. This is the heinous number 2. No one should be that prejudiced against Muslims. But really, we are 10% worse than Muslims in the public eye. Why? What have we done to deserve that? I don't even know. So here's another poll that I think is almost worse, because that one just asked whether it made you less likely or more likely to vote. It didn't rule people out. This one says, would you vote for that person at all? So the perfect candidate who agrees with you completely, 53% of America is not going to vote for them if they're atheists. Everything else is right. That basically means everyone in this room, congratulations, you're not going to be president. And again, we find ourselves at the bottom of the social ladder. So this is clearly an issue of prejudice and not governmental discrimination. I have a YouTube to show you. You may have seen this one. Fox News, my favorite.
They strength, not a weakness. We are a nation of Christians and Muslims, Jews and Hindus, and non-believers. We are shaped by every language and culture.
There you have it. President Obama's inaugural address was full of religious references, but that one you just heard is stirring some debate. Was it all inclusive to acknowledge non-believers or just offensive?
Yeah.
So, Fox, I guess it's offensive to reach out to minority groups in America. That's interesting. Interesting theory you have there. So yes, I think I've made my point that we need to change the public opinion. That's a goal we should have. This is a funny picture I found on Google looking for those polls. I don't know why I took it. I don't have a counter argument. Anyways, so how are we going to break those stereotypes? Well, I have these nice little diatribes here. Actions speak louder than words, and show don't tell. We can talk all day about how we're good people, and we can know it, or at least we're trying. But people are not going to believe us unless they see it. And the way that they can see it is if we are out there doing service. And it really does work. At that DC conference that I told you about, there was a girl speaking from, I think it was the University of Indiana. Ashley, do you remember?
Illinois.
Illinois, sorry. Those Midwest states.
This endears you to no one in the Midwest when you say that. Anyway.
All three of them are mad at me now. Sorry. Love you, Illinois. Anyway, so they sent about, I think it's 7 of their secular group down to New Orleans for a service project, and they went along. It was a joint group. They went with the Christian trip and just tagged along. And she was talking about all the comments she got. Just, wow, you guys are actually nice, and you're actually doing service. People were shocked. I mean, your hairstyle hides those horns so well. So it seems silly, It seems silly to us that we would have to go through these motions in order to prove something that we know is true. But really, to America, like to see this makes a big difference. Just Greg's book, the title "Good Without God," is making a big difference. People are hearing it. So in terms of a public relations project, this is one of the most important things I think we can do as groups. All right, so off my soapbox now. Here's how to go about it. And I'm no expert, but this is how I went about Service Day, which I think went really well. First of all, pick a date early. We are college students. People are busy. If you claim that date, then people have it in their mind, and it's open. You can't wait for the last minute on the date. And then you can also gauge interest. Make sure that get an idea for how many people you're going to have coming, so that you can choose a good project. My theme here is do everything early. The second thing you want to do is choose a service organization. We waited a little long on that for Dharma Harvest, and it worked out because Sarah, who ran Dharma Harvest, was really, really great. But it's hard, You think, oh, I'll just go out there. People love volunteers, but to get 25 people who are needed on a single day is difficult. Or if you're looking for something habitual, you want to find something that is a group that's looking for something habitual. It's kind of difficult, and they'll help you along the organization process. So find your group early. Publicizing. When I was a freshman, I was asked to write a press release, and I was so excited. I was like, oh my god, I'm writing a press release, I'm so famous. But it's really not a big deal. Anyone can write a press release. There's some great guides online just for generic ones or for secular themed ones. And you just send it out to all the news organizations you can find, and some of them will pick it up. It's actually very easy. And if you do it early, then again, you've got their attention. Also, you can call up local newspapers. If you call up the New York Times, you may not be interested. But if you call up some dinky little newspaper somewhere in the Midwest, and you say, hey, I have this story for you, they'll be like, great, we're always looking for stories, and that's where it starts. And the other important thing to do is publicizing in terms of making the connections with your area groups. Like I mentioned, it's a great opportunity, but you have to reach out and do it. You have to find the Boston atheists, you have to find the Harvard humanists. It takes communication, so do that early, get a hold of those people, and you'll have a lot more support. And then you want to make sure you have sign-ups, make sure you tell people what's expected. For example, if there's transportation costs or if they're going to need to bring supplies, lunch, etc. Get everyone on board. Make sure you order the stuff early, like t-shirts and that sort of thing. And just keep publicizing, keep getting the word out there. And that's key. Here's advice I have. Again, early. Start early. Theme. In terms of choosing your project, you need to think about what you're looking for. We were looking for a one-day event. It was about an hour trip to get out to Dharma Harvest, which for a one-day event was fine. If we had wanted to keep going there, we would lose interest so quickly because no one wants to take that hour trip, and no one can go for half the day. You have to go the whole day if it's like that. So if you're looking for something that'll happen like every Sunday and you're hoping for people to come, get something near your college or your city.